First time this season, though, that Mother Nature has really kicked everybody in the balls a little bit, huh? It seemed like rain.
Yeah, there were some big-time delays. I want to say that was it USC Purdue got delayed like 4 hours. We didn't get delayed, nor did the game. But the weather was not great. However, once our show started, the weather actually kind of turned up, so it was nice.
Yeah.
No complaints. Love Chicago, my favorite big city to go to. Love the people, love the food, love just everything. It's an awesome town. So I had a great time. Unfortunate, though, because, Chicago's college football team's Notre Dame, and that was quite the ending, quite the game. And unfortunate for Notre Dame to not come out on top. So that did not really help out with the weekend.
What went wrong?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to place on the PAT, which even then, two things. One, our defense still just couldn't get a stop and get off the field. Granted, it was a terrible missed holding call on the touchdown play. I will admit that. But I also feel like if you leave games in the hands of the officials, it's tough to complain about that. Like I went through the Bush game. There was multiple plays besides the Bush push that were terribly officiated. Everyone goes back and looks at that play because it was an illegal play back then. But even the fact that Liner fumbled when he was inbound, the clock should have ran out. They never should have gotten the clock stopped to put them in a position for that. And the officials actually gave them like an extra yard and a half forward of progress when they should have been more at the 3, so they wouldn't have been able to run that play. But I digress. That's one example of many, and really the history of Notre Dame, where there's been a lot of calls that have not gone their way. And that was one where it was a no call. It would have obviously changed probably the outcome of that game. But you can't put it on the officials. So, the PAT hurt. That's tough for Tyler Buchner, especially considering his journey and everything he's been through. But also for a Notre Dame team that, look, they're 0-2. They played two really good top 20 football teams, and they lost by a total of 4 points. One by a field goal, one on the last second play by 1. So it's tough sledding. They are a good football team. They are, to me, one of the top teams in college football. I know seeing that 0-2, people will say, oh, they haven't won, blah, blah, blah. I mean, okay. They didn't play the cupcakes like your school did, okay? Like Nebraska's really puffing their chest out right now. It's like, all right, we'll see this week. You actually play Michigan. You actually play an opponent. So we'll see how that goes. But my general point is...
What about Penn State?
There's Penn State's right on that board too. By the way, they can't even cover half the spreads they get against some of these teams. There's no conference to play for, no conference championship. So the problem is, even if you went out and you go 10-2, is the rest of the schedule strong enough? Based on how they've adjusted the strength of schedule, do they get enough points for playing those teams early in the season close? And if they dominate like they did last year, following the Northern Illinois loss, do they still make it in? I would say this. What we know for sure is Notre Dame now allows their fate to be held in everyone else's hands. Mm-hmm. Where if you have a bunch of teams that have a stronger strength of schedule and are 10-2, they're not getting in. I mean, USC is the only team on the rest of their schedule that's probably going to be ranked by the time they play. That's it. So that resume is not going to hold up very well. So at this point, to be 2 games in the season, to feel like you're not playing for a national championship, it's tough. It's tough. So all they can do is do the best they can to improve, win by as much as they can, but there needs to be improvements on defense. Al Golden left. He's with the Bengals. Chris Ash comes in as the defensive coordinator, and they cannot get pressure. And I'll remind people, Al Golden brought a lot of pressure. I'm not sure if Chris Ash is worried about some of the new pieces they have. I'm not sure if that's just not his personality. Whatever the case is, this defense looks entirely different than what it did a year ago. And it's not like there's that much turnover in some of the roster. And they've recruited well and developed well. So there's a lot of pressure mounting on Chris Ash, the defensive coordinator of Notre Dame right now.
All right, so now what would you, if you had to guess, all right, if you went on DraftKings, what would you guess the odds are for Notre Dame to make the college football playoff right now? If you had to guess, just...
Oh, gosh. Plus 2,000. I think they're 200 to 1.
Okay. According to DraftKings, plus 160. So,
really?
So 100 wins you 160 if Notre Dame makes the playoff.
I get that.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that's...
I get that.
I was under the impression
that's shocking.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm confused by.
I think what's confusing about it is they're an 0-2 football team. They just dropped 16 spots. They're still ranked. Mm-hmm. They are 0-2 after everything USC has done. Which, by the way, USC is ranked now in the AP poll. But really, the only thing that matters is the college football playoff. Is after everything USC's done, they're still not ranked ahead of Notre Dame. So it goes to show you, like, there's a thought to this. It's still a good football team. They just have played a tough schedule so far, and they'll pick it up. So if you want to use it this or look at it this way, they've got one last lifeline, and that lifeline is they've got to go and beat the crap out of every team they play, and hope that the SEC cannibalizes itself. You got some teams that kind of start to fall apart, and obviously Ohio State, Penn State have to play one another. Miami, Florida play this week. There's all sorts of games where these teams will clash. They will collide. And so they're going to be dropping some games too. We just haven't gotten to that part of the schedule yet.
And, you mentioned the 2 losses. I mean, both those teams are top 10 now. Miami's 4th, Texas A&M is 10th. So, maybe they're going to get extra credit for those losses, especially if they run the table and they smack USC. So maybe not all is lost, right? Maybe there's still some hope there for Notre Dame.